Damn, man. The Kings ruined my night, Javi. Kings ruined my night. I was supposed to watch WandaVision at midnight tonight. Know that the Kings ended on a good note, and guess what? They did not end on a good note. They lose 123-119. They are now 14-22, and the Blazers are 21-14 without CJ, without Nurkic. And we gotta admit, man, they got the baddest, excuse my language, the baddest motherfucker on the planet, and Damian Lillard, man. How you doing, bro?
I'm hurting, Leo. It's as a competitor, you always want to see Kings just do things that you haven't been accustomed to watching in. With so much promise in that 7 to 8 game stretch about 2 weeks ago or so, to see the first half end this way, from the calls just not being in our favor to Corey Joseph's lack of skill and incompetence, and Luke Walton's decision making is it's gut wrenching, man. And
I know, and to me it was another classic. Wait till last minute to make the right adjustments from Luke and the coaching staff. I tweeted this out. I put it on the timeline on CK on Instagram. They finally hard doubled Dame after I think he went 10-0. Like he scored 10 points, and at least half of those points, he wasn't hard-hedged. They didn't blitz him. He was doing things on his own. We know he can do that. Like, everyone knows he can do that. He's a great player. He's the baddest mother hover in the planet. We know that. So take the ball away from him and make anyone else beat you. I am A-okay with anyone else beating you. I am A-okay with Cantor sliding, slipping on that screen, and hitting a tough reverse layup. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm going to live with the results. But I cannot live with allowing Damian Lillard to go one-on-one continuously. And it's just a mockery, man. Like, the Kings always do this. They always make the right adjustments when the game is pretty much out of hand, man. And I'm just tired of watching this.
and it comes down to they double Dame at the top of the key or 3-point line when he gets on the perimeter, and he's looking to kick either to the open man or swing it or whatever it may be. But it's just the fact of, why is that not a precedence for when he's having a timeout called or a defensive scheme that he's trying to run conceptually, of something they do consistently? When McCollum's out with a broken foot, when the ball is in Portland's possession, they're going to go to Damian. And
exactly.
Obviously, Giles is not some, stalwart, but their other player that they're going to go to is Gary Trent and Carmelo, who's 37, 38. I will bet any day of the week to let them win the game over Damian Lillard 12 times out of 10. And it's not a fact of him doing it tonight. It's the consistency of always making the wrong decision. As the coach, you're supposed to let, so to speak, the players make the mistakes, but it just seems as if, why are we witnessing what we know would at least give the Kings a better chance to win defensively, but the head coach, who's paid $5 million annually, is doing things over? And this isn't the first game that's just happened where we win against stars or even superstars, and we don't do the correct defensive alignment with whether it's a zone, whether we're trapping, whether we're trying to get the ball out of his hands and crunch, just whatever it may be, etc. It's like we're witnessing what we know should be happening, and it's like the complete opposite. Yeah. And you watch tonight, Damian, I think he had 39, I believe. Did he finish with 39, or was he
finished with 44 points, 8 of 15 from beyond the arc. That's my point. So you got Gary Trent with 7 points. You got Derrick Jones with 8. You got Covington with 7. Make any of those guys beat you. I'm going to live with the result. I'm going to live with any of these guys hitting a semi-contested three. When you bring that hard double, you run back and you sprint for a contest. I'm okay with that, but do not allow Dame to get 44 points on you, man. It's not rocket science.
Yes, sir. And this is what I want Kings fans to resonate with more than anything, is that we're so quick to blame Buddy Hield, a little bit of Harrison, Rashawn, Marvin, even a little bit of De'Aaron. Understand this. Robert Covington, on the last play of the game, or one of the last sequences of the game, he had not only double dribble 2 times, and he had a over and back
Right.
because that's somebody we should be letting take the shot offensively and taking the ball out of Dame's hands. But not only is that decision way too late in the game, remember when we played Charlotte and was it PJ Washington went for 42, a career high? If you're going to tell me that the Kings players are the problem, when we watch, now it's been about, we'll say 22 months ago, Buddy Hield looking like a completely different player than what he is now. And everyone's ready to give up on him and Barnes and just this whole notion of tank. Coaching matters. And I don't care what you say about the talent of this team. Yeah, the bench is trepid. It's lackluster, if not bare. But at the end of the day, the team is not coached the way Jaeger coached them. And people say they hated Jaeger. Hey, there are coaches that I played 4 years of college football. There were coaches I hated, but I know that they got the most out of me every snap. If you can tell me any fan out there watching that Buddy Hield plays better now or was not affected for the worst when Buddy Hield lost Jaeger as his coach and got replaced with Luke Walton, then you're not watching the game because at the end of the day, Walton is not coaching his team as if for one, maybe he cares currently for present day in regards to their win-loss record, or he just doesn't do it correctly altogether because there's no way PJ Washington, who had, I believe, the next night on the back-to-back, he had 3 points, a rebound, and 3 turnovers, but he went for 42 and 5 against us on Sunday. Dame's 44, and I think he had 20 – no, he had like 31 maybe going into his fourth. It was – either way, it was just – you look at they have Covington – 2 double dribbles and he over and back when you trap and make him get the ball, but you consistently let Dame catch wide open shots and this preconceived notion that Corey Joseph is a good defender. No, he's an over aggressive defender that consistently bad fouls, and he's screaming at the ref like, man, it's all right, brother. You played 10 years. Your time has come and gone. You got a fat, handsome ransom, and you have the best agent in the league. Just the commentary by Katie Christensen, or not Katie Hunter, to say, I don't know if you watched last night, she said in the postgame, he's a great basketball player. Like, no, that is a Divock signing, and the fact that Luke Wall consistently plays him over and over and over again. Remember we didn't watch Bjelica play for weeks, and what does he do nothing but contribute? And it's just, when Bjelica was on the team with Jaeger, we knew what Bailey was going to give us, and now it's like we're just happy to see him on the court as a reserve. Walton isn't the only issue, but don't make it as if the roster is as bad as everyone's making it out to be. And that's what people need to realize. Like, you want to get rid of Buddy Hield and Harrison Barnes and Rashawn Holmes so fast? Well, then be ready for 2006 to 2016 all over again. Because it's like they're fighting. They're tired. The starting five is tired. You're watching it.
Facts. Tonight, De'Aaron Fox, 39 minutes. Buddy Hield, 37 on a bum ankle. Harrison Barnes, 38. Marvin Bagley, 32. Rashawn Holmes, 31. This team has to play these guys heavy minutes, and rightfully so. Those are their best players, but it just shows a lack of depth on this team. And Corey Joseph should not be playing 30 minutes, but right now he kind of has to. Daquan Jeffries, 7 minutes. That's not acceptable. Like, Jeffries has to get at least 20.
What happened to when he had 18 points, like maybe a week ago on 33 minutes? He was like 5 from 8 from the perimeter. How did that go from he had 18 points and played lockdown defense to 7 minutes?
Like, and what I don't get is that he had so much trust on Glenn Robinson,
right now.
Yeah, and now he doesn't have any trust in Daquan. Like, it makes no sense to me. I just don't understand it. Obviously, coaching isn't the only thing on this roster. A lot of the times, Marvin Bagley and Buddy Hield, they're big negatives on defense, and we consistently see teams attack them, and the Kings have to be able to adjust to those things. As you said, PJ Tucker had, PJ Washington had about 40 plus. 65% of that was on Marvin Bagley, and on most nights, we see the great guards in this league put these two guys in the pick and roll. They get the switches. Again, also a coaching thing. Schematics. The scheme isn't great in terms of switching. You don't have the bodies. You don't have the IQ to play a scheme defense, a switch defense. I rather you just fight over the screen, drop a little bit, or when we do get great players like Damian Lillard, which I've been preaching all year, hedge them. or blitz them. You got to do one or the other. And the Kings sometimes they just half-ass everything, and that's my biggest issue, man. Um, what was your biggest takeaway tonight from watching Marvin Bagley play?
I've been somebody who's been against Bagley since day one, not for the player he is, but for what he contributed for the worse to this franchise. But I can't sit there and act as if he hasn't played tremendous offensively the last 5 games, 6, 7, 8 games. But we all know the deficiencies we have on this team, including himself, is defensively. And he's 6'11", 225 pounds. He's too small to play against any big power forward, and he's more than undersized against any center in the league. Defensively, schematic play design that they draw up for him to do anytime, whether he's playing man, whether he's playing zone. Conceptually, he just not fit, whether it's something he lacks in his basketball IQ, like he just, lags off mentally and just zones out, or he just forgets, or maybe he just doesn't fully understand and grasp the concept defensively. But he's a offensively skilled power forward with natural ability that hasn't honed in and really got concise with, perfecting his craft and, working on his game. And that comes in all aspects defensively. Offensively, he's shooting almost 40% from three this year, which is, about 95 attempts, which is a great number. But I don't want him there in particular.
Yeah.
And what it comes down to is that he's wearing out too. And I'm not saying offensively, but I'm saying he's played 38 minutes. You said, about 38 minutes tonight.
Yep.
Offensively, for one, it's getting good, but offensively, I feel like that wears him down defensively because I won't say he's a high volume dribble player, but he's in the paint as an undersized big, lengthy. But he's taking hits down there, and I feel
he's just so bad defensively, bro. Like if you watch that last game from last night in the pick and roll, he's clueless. He has no feel for the game. Like he has no feel for the game. For him to consistently get beat on that pick and roll, which is such a simple coverage for a big, and it's a must for a big to be coherent when a guy like Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell run it, and they consistently killed him on it. And again, does he not watch the film? You would like to think anyone who studies, if it's taking a test, if it's watching film, for you not to repetitively make the same mistake over and over and over. Does he care? Does he not care? Or is the game so fast at the NBA level that he just doesn't get it? It just doesn't click for him. And it doesn't click for me to understand and give him a pass because I can't give him a pass because this happens every single game. And there is some news about Luke Walton meeting Monte McNair tomorrow morning. Supposedly he's going to meet McNair. He's going to pick up his kids from school, take them, and take his wife to a remote hotel for a couple days and return to meet with Monte and plan for the second half of the season. That's interesting because who knows what Monte will tell him tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be a brief thing or if it'll be the final meeting. But I think I think most coaches have to say things like, well, we're going to get ready for the second half of the year. Well, in fact, we've heard that from George Karl. I heard that when I was in Boston and he was talking to Chris Mannix, I think, and I was there, and a few days later, actually, he survived. Surprisingly, he survived the All-Star break. I don't know if you recall, and then until the end of the year, they ended up firing him. But they should have fired him at the All-Star break, and this could be another thing where history repeats itself, and Luke could survive it, man.
And it's really interesting because, for one, Vivek is a very in my opinion, tumultuous, but very sporadic, very indecisive, but very just overall sporadic owner to where he makes spur of the moment, quick, sometimes indecisive decisions based on emotion, not based on logic. And he's not objective. And it's sad because of how smart and rich he is. But he's made numerous mistakes, from the Malone firing to, I think, the Yeager firing to the way they handled the DeMarcus trade. It's just, I would not be surprised if they fired him, and I wouldn't even be upset. But it's really interesting because to meet with an owner mid-year to discuss, does that mean you're implying there's going to be some transactions made to where he needs to, hey, you're going to be cognizant of your roster for when we want to exploit, showcase, and have a few players play more minutes to have them have trade value increased, or just be prepared for the lackluster roster you might have thereafter with some transactions coming and going. But what I want people to understand is we're so, for the tankers out there that, I want to go back to Marvin Bagley piece for a second. The notion of like Marvin Bagley, he's 21, he has so much upside. Okay. So Marvin Bagley's part of the young core, and he consistently makes these mistakes defensively in the pick and roll, understanding conceptual defensive game plan with their schematic play design. Do you think in 2 years, if and when he ever gets it, in year 6, De'Aaron Fox is going to look at him and say, he's the guy with Haliburton to lead us to a championship with 2 rookies or 2 second-year players? You guys got to understand, you're going to get what you're going to get from offensively. It's just a matter either he's going to lock in and fix it, or it's a coaching issue. But one of the two are relative to reality, maybe even both. But I'm not going to sit there and mortgage my superstar we have in De'Aaron Fox's emotion, more or less, or his want to Sacramento to be put on Marvin Bagley playing defense and even being consistently. And he's played well 6, 7, 8 games, but like Leo said, and I'll tell you right now, he's not played good defensively, and he's young. But again, people make it as if De'Aaron Fox is going to be just loyal to the city like he's from, Natomas. He's not from this area. He loves the Kings because he likes the opportunity of it all, because he wants to turn this around. But if they mortgage their success for future assets and draft picks like all these bad organizations have done, I promise you, by 2023, De'Aaron Fox is going to say, hey, man, it's time for me to go. Because like I told you guys 3 weeks ago, even a month ago, Alonzo Ball, JJ Redick would help this team right now. And I promise you that sort of thing would keep them fresh, would give it would create a dynamic rather of them having fresh bodies to play, but it would help us in the long game. Like tonight, we need somebody to cover Damian Lillard and trap and double and assist and spell Fox and play make. But we don't have them bodies. And I don't know what Fox is going to do. I don't know what McNair's plan is. But when I put trades out there for you guys to consider, the prime example is a night like tonight. The 5 starters are exhausted. And people need to understand Bagley playing, like we said 6 weeks ago, his development is hindering this team's success. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like,
Facts.
That's what it's going to be.
Now, before I make this next point or this next hypothetical trade or this proposal, make sure y'all hit the like or dislike. It helps us out a lot. So if you guys haven't done that already, please do so. And a huge shout out to Valley Tire Center and their sister store, Radial Tire, and also their Elk Grove store, man. So shout out to them. Every time the Kings win, y'all can take advantage and get a free tire balance and rotation. Obviously, the Kings have only won 14 times. So it's few in between when they do win, so take advantage when they do win. Again, shout out to Valley Tire Center for always being great to the platform. I love Simons, man. Would you trade for Simons? Would you trade a package of Bagley and Simons being like the headliners?
No.
Okay.
Not because of Simon's game, but because when I look at trades that I've came up with more or less, if I'm going to trade Marvin Bagley,
what don't you like about Simons is the better question.
I like Simons.
He's younger.
He is, but again, he's going to play the backup point because he's not going to start a shooting guard. And again, I like the idea, Leo, but if I'm trading Marvin Bagley, who rather you want to cut your losses, he was the second pick in the 2018 NBA draft, and he's not a bad player, more or less. Yeah, he has his deficiencies, but if I'm going to give up on the 21-year-old, quote unquote future piece to this core, like I proposed before, I'm throwing him in a Bradley Beal deal, and people are like, "That's crazy." I'm not. I'll package him and Beal or him and
Simons and Zach Collins.
Zach Collins can't stay healthy. Never wants to play. He never wants to play. He never can play because he never has a right foot. He has a right hamstring. He has a right quad, a right patella, a right collarbone. He's always hurt.
Simons and Grant and Trent Jr.
We drafted Trent Jr., so no. That was no. I don't want Trent Jr. back. We drafted Trent Jr.
Oh,
in the free agency. I think he's a free agent, right? I believe he's a restricted.
I think he's
restricted.
coming up. I think
He's
he's
a second
coming
round
up.
pick and he got drafted in 18. He should be restricted, I
No,
believe.
Vladdy sold him. Vladdy
So
sold
a
him.
second round pick that turned out to be Justin James. I think he might have got two. And I think a Kyle Guy as well. And who would rather have right now? And it's not even close. It's just, but again, people say my trades might be a little, over the top or unrealistic. Hey, at the end of the day, that's a tanker mentality. I'm willing to, if I'm going to trade Buddy Hield and, Marvin Bagley, who's the second pick, and you guys love him, hate him, you guys really think his game is good, okay. I think his game can be good, and it's somewhat decent, if not better than decent now, above average. But I'm not going to let him go unless I'm getting something that's going to put me in a place to make De'Aaron Fox look and say, hey, man, we might have lost Buddy and Marvin, but we got a shot now. Like, I'm not just giving him up to give him up. And that's why I feel like Kings fans and these Sacramento, media outlets that put out this notion like, yeah, man, let's just trade. Like, today they had on the KC and D'Lo show with a few other they have a podcast rather that they brought some guys in there, and they said that I forgot the show that they brought in some hosts rather. They have their nighttime podcast, and they said, yeah, I don't care how Buddy's played the last 5 games or so, I'm still trading him. And I said, wait, you're gonna trade him, but for what? Like, what are you going to trade him for? Like,
Right.
we're so quick to give up on him, but why? Just to say you traded him? And I say, you want to get picks back. You want to get players back that are young, that aren't developed, that haven't proven themselves, that haven't put any stock in being a legitimate NBA player. But then when these players become good, you're going to say, oh, guess what we need? We need a shooter now. Well, you had a shooter. But then De'Aaron's unhappy because they're still bad. They have young players that are playing well, but they're not NBA caliber level to win. It's like you're trying to skip the steps.
Yeah.
Like, even though you get these picks, you still have to win games to create the culture. And if you have any indecision about that, look at the Miami Heat, man. Like, that's all you need to look up. Period.
Let me address a comment from Rigo Prado in the comment section right now. He said, I agree with Tenvier, bro. I've been keeping up with your podcast and posts for at least 2 years, but your hate on Bagley is getting annoying. Stars aren't made overnight. Players take time. So I agree with the second half of that quote, which is it does take time for guys to develop. But again, developing guys does what, guys? You, for the most part, lose games because those guys are getting significant minutes. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. But for someone who wants to win and wants to see this team succeed, you have to understand that playing him 32 minutes a night, while it's good for him and his development, it's bad for the team because there are too many mistakes that he makes defensively and even offensively. Like plenty of times, every single game, that's annoying to me. So when you say I'm annoying for hating him, I'm not hating him. I'm just being constructive when it comes to his game. There are so many things that he lacks offensively and most significantly defensively. So to me, when you say I hate on him, please expand on that because I feel like I don't hate on him. And anytime you talk about Bagley, who is now in year 3, my question to you is, what are you willing to pay the man? And once you figure that out, we can then have a conversation about Bagley because, believe it or not, his extension is coming up. So when you think about Bagley and how I hate on him or not hate on him, please tell me how much you think he's worth and how much you think he's going to get paid because only then can we have a serious conversation about him. Because until that happens, all we think about is potential. The reality is, are you willing to pay him close to max money because he was a number 2 pick and because we know how his father is and because we know how he is? So are you willing to pay him close to the max for a number 2 pick and just bank on him developing? If not, then you got to cool it down with the whole I'm hating because I'm not hating. I'm describing a guy who I'm watching playing every single night who is not impressive to me. He's just not.
And when you look at the notion that Marvin Bagley is being hated on, okay, well, let's understand 3 things. The first thing is this. His father is wanting to play in Sacramento. Does any fan out there that's saying that we're critical of Marvin Bagley willing to pay Marvin Bagley the max and then essentially let Marvin Bagley's contract take Rashawn Holmes out the picture. And number 3, even though it happened 3 years ago, you still have the Luka Doncic factor in your mind. And it's not about him ever equating to Luka Doncic's greatness, but for where he was selected and where he's at now and where this team is, you have to feel in your heart of hearts like this guy was supposed to be the best prospect outside of DeAndre Ayton.
Oh, my God.
Supposedly by these draft experts, and the Kings can't stop a team scoring 30 points in a quarter every game, night in, night out, no matter how many minutes he plays. And it's like, and I look at every quarter. I said they give 30. Yes, and it's like, and you wonder points in the paint. Okay, but either way, he can't switch on guards. He can't come play the perimeter. He's not good at switching in general. And when he rolls in the pick and roll, lack thereof, he gets lost like he's never played the game of basketball. And it's just a simple fact, man. You can sit there and say we're hating on him, and it's just we expected more because of the publicity, the track record, but the resume that everybody was so quick to use to justify the selection. End of the day, he was a top 5, top 7 prospect in the draft, but he's the second overall pick in the Kings. And the Kings' future in regards to 2021 with De'Aaron Fox and this nucleus they have is hindered because we're trying to develop Marvin Bagley.
Right. And then Rigo says Giannis took 3 to 4 years to develop. That's such a cheesy, and I say that with all due respect, bro. That is such a cheesy fake analogy. Don't ever compare Giannis' development. I mean, Giannis was good from day one. Giannis was a playmaker from day one. Do not compare him just because they have similar athletic body types. That is the only comparison. Do not compare the IQ from Giannis from day one. They are apples and oranges when it comes to just stop. And this is not just you, Rigo. I've seen this argument 1,000 times and it just irks me. It irritates me because it's so far-fetched. Never, ever again compare Giannis to this man, Marvin Bagley. It will never happen. The best analogy for him, the best comparison is Sabonis. If he ever becomes 80% of Sabonis, we got a bad man. And that's a good thing for this team because that means the Kings will start winning games. But to compare him to Giannis, just stop already, man. Just be happy if he ever becomes Sabonis. And I'm not saying that like a consolation prize because Sabonis is a bad mother hover. But I'm just saying, like, stop with this Giannis stuff, man.
It's as if they think because the timelines are similar or the same that because,
they're completely different players.
You look at Giannis and he took 4 years. Well, we should expect the same from Bagley. Marvin Bagley and Giannis Antetokounmpo are two different people in two different worlds from two different walks of life, man. Like this,
one guy is not soft. One guy plays with his heart out every single game.
One guy gave an extension to Milwaukee who's never won nothing. And one guy's father acts as if Marvin Bagley's a national champion, 5 times in a row as a redshirt senior, and was like the most touted player in NBA history, any draft. When Giannis signed an extension to a franchise that's never won a championship since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wasn't a Muslim, but Marvin Bagley's never done nothing here, and he acts as if, I need to go skip town to go somewhere else. What have you proven to act like you're not? You're not a bust. Like, show me why you're not a bust. And my point earlier is it was Deuce and Mo was on that show earlier, and they were swearing up and down, Buddy Hield needs to go no matter how well he plays. Harrison Barnes be sold for high because Marvin Bagley, Haliburton, and De'Aaron Fox are the core of this rebuild. Well, for one, who said De'Aaron Fox agreed to a rebuild in that contract? Who said Haliburton likes to lose? And you make it seem Marvin Bagley is some end-all, be-all to fix his franchise as well as in the paint. And I've asked them, Deuce and Mo and other Sacramento, radio stations before, I made the notion, why do you assume that Marvin Bagley's the go-to big man in Sacramento? He's a good power forward, a scoring power forward, but you're letting Rashawn Holmes, who they act as if he's 35, he's 26. He should be the guy we should be focusing on to make sure he's still a Sacramento King. He wants to be a Sacramento King. He plays not in regards to skill set, but he plays with his heart the way that Giannis does. And defensively, we've seen how the Kings played just putrid and inept and incompetent to the max on all 200 levels when he missed them stretch of games about 3 to 5 games ago, how bad they were down low. I mean, we can go rewind the hands of time and watch that game film. If you guys in the comment section and watching this film think Marvin Bagley is somebody we need to give a chance to, then why are all these rookies that we see now, last year, and the year before going nuts year one? Look at LaMelo Ball. Never played college. I think he did drop out his senior year of high school because I was at Cal Lutheran University in Southern California, and he was in Chino Hills at Chino Hills High School. His dad drop out.
He
Dropped
out his junior year,
in
I
the
think.
international league overseas,
Yeah.
and he's the best rookie outside of Haliburton, if not the best rookie. But Haliburton and all these other players that are ready now don't seem to get mentioned in the conversation, but Marvin Bagley needs to be given 3 years. Marvin Bagley is a 21-year-old that knows how to play the game of basketball. It's mental lapse, it's care, it's want to, but it's more than anything, it's effort. And maybe it's not physical, but in the day, don't put him in a conversation like De'Aaron Fox and Haliburton and Barnes because their mental IQ and basketball IQ is 10, 20 times better than his. I won't put Buddy there, but Buddy's an invaluable player in regards to his shooting capabilities, and people are ready to give up on him like he's a loaf of bread that went bad 5 weeks ago. Like, go find me a better shooter you can get that wants to come to Sacramento.
Yeah.
Tell me. That's not extension with the Kings.
And then there's a lot of people in the comments just saying simple things like Marvin can't even set a proper screen. And it's the little things like that, like offensively when he just continues to dribble that damn ball. My brother, don't bring the ball down. You are 6'11". Keep the damn ball up high like Pau Gasol, Tim Duncan. Simple, logical concepts that I'm sure the coaches point out in film sessions. And he continues to do this. And in regards to my own film sessions, you just said I only point out Marvin Bagley, and that's not true. I am literally shitting on Buddy Hield. I'm shitting on De'Aaron Fox. I'm shitting on everybody. Whoever makes a mistake, I'm going to point that out. So please don't say that I only talk about Bagley because that is far from the truth, man. And as my boy, Big Asian, Giant Asian said, Bagley's camp is going to want the max, and the Kings will probably offer him $15 million per year, which is probably what he's worth right now. And then he'll probably turn it down and walk away. So,
and that's why, yes.
So, do you want to waste time right now, right? Which is what they're doing, because at the end of the day, we know where his head is at. His head is at max money. His camp's head's at max money. And we all can agree that he's worth, 13 to 15 per year. I'd love that. Reality is he's number 2 pick. It's not going to happen, man. It's just not.
And to second that, think about what you guys are all saying right now. We're going to develop him to turn a contract offer that he's going to say no to essentially develop him under our tutelage, under our time, and under our loss to have him play better for another franchise because we had the years to develop him and we wasted those years trying to make him what he should be, and they get the final and finishing product. No. Like I said before in the trade proposals on the Cowboy Kingdom Instagram page on the platform, I'm going to put him in a deal to bring a star here. And people are like, don't give up on him. Well, are you willing to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I want to offer Marvin Bagley the max? Because I'm not. But I know who I'm willing to give the max to, a Bradley Beal or somebody of that ilk, somebody who's a winner, a proven commodity. If you feel comfortable giving Marvin Bagley the max, who doesn't even understand defensive schematic play design in the most simple form, and say that, okay, well, in a year and a half or, because he's going to be restricted soon and they're going to he's probably turn down the offer they make, are you going to be comfortable giving him the max deal as a second overall pick and say that was the right decision? No. The Kings need to find a trade partner now because he might not walk, but they're going to have to trade him. And the sooner they do it, the more they'll get for him. If they wait till last minute, desperation creeps in, the league starts to talk, chatters amongst all the owners and the GMs, the Kings are desperate. Yeah. We don't got to offer Zach squat. Look at Divac. Love Divac as our center. Probably the best center in Kings history, if not top 2, top 3, because, DeMarcus. But you look at DeMarcus. If they would have traded him like they thought I'm sure, unless Divac is just dumber than we think, and I'm pretty sure he's not, he didn't think of trading DeMarcus the night before the deadline or the NBA All-Star game. If he would have made that deal 5 months previous, and then he stated on national television, I had a better deal 2 days ago. That you don't want that situation to happen again is what I'm trying to say. You said you got Buddy Hield a first and a second and 2 throw-ins, and you had 2 firsts, Buddy Hield, and 2 throw-ins. If they would have made that deal 5 months ago, they probably could have got a real star back at their peak of their more or less progression to become whatever star, not a Levine, but in that situation, the Butler trade. But if you had Marvin Bagley, who is aspiring star, aspiring, great big in his league, don't wait till year 4 is over and no, you're not going to re-sign him. And all the chatters, though, Sacramento's not going to offer an extension because Kings suitors are going to lowball you, and it's going to be too late. You've lost him for nothing.
And then,
when I'm talking about trade proposals now, get what you can, throw in a Buddy Hield and a pick if it's worth it, but if it's practical, and go get you somebody that's going to win you a playoff series. People are so quick, well, Javier, why are you talking about this guy who won't win you an NBA series? You got to walk before you run. Let's get to the playoffs first before we worry about who's going to win us a championship. Let's get to the tournament before we worry about getting to the main cog of getting that championship back to Sacramento, because the NBA Finals is a long ways away. Let's just get into the top 10 and then the top 8 and the top 6 and the top 4, etc. Because Kings fans are so quick to jump from a 0 to 100. Let's go from 0 to 50 and then 50 to 75 and so on and so forth. You feel what I'm saying?
Right. And then Buddha says you can't walk away. We match whatever the market is. Correct.
They didn't make Bogdanovic.
So just to clarify, the Kings do have the early bird right to him, and they will be able to match. We're not saying that. What we're saying is if someone offers him the max, right, hypothetically, or close to it, and the Kings are at 15 and they're too far away from what they think he's worth, then yes, they're going to let him walk. They let Bogey walk. They had bird rights to him. So it's not out of the question if the Bagley camp feels that we're disrespecting him, right, by not offering him something close to the max. Then the Kings would be like, well, we don't want to offer you anywhere near the max. And if someone else does, go ahead. But then if we're the only deal, then he's going to have to take that deal. But again, it only takes one team to do that. And just one GM to believe in him. And that's really all it takes, man.
And you look at Bogdanovic. I know plenty of Kings fans who said, oh, let him walk. Good riddance. Who cares? You guys can look at me right now. For one, he's not even being utilized right in Atlanta. Well, when he was playing, he's hurt. But when he was, they don't even utilize him the right way. They really don't even need him. They just were over aggressive free agency because the owner put plenty of pressure on the old Warriors assistant GM. That's the current, head GM in Atlanta right now, to make moves to get into the playoffs. He said, hey, I want to make the playoffs now. I'm tired of losing. So, he made all these, I won't say rash decisions, but he made these rash decisions to make a remedy of what his owner wanted. And now Travis Slank, and now Bogdanovic is in Atlanta, who's behind, Trae Young and a few other players that they have. He's not even a current starter when he was healthy. You're telling me right now, Kings fans, he wouldn't help this team? You're telling me right now that Harry Giles wouldn't help this team, but Monty McNair is the savior. But he said in his opening presser, I'm not in the business of letting – well, no, let me reword this. I'm in the business of acquiring talent, but you're going to let your best playmaker outside De'Aaron Fox walk for nothing. And you could have literally matched it and said, Atlanta, the ball's in your court. We can make a deal for Hield, but either way, you let him go for nothing. You let Harry Giles go for nothing to replace him with Hassan Whiteside, who is traveling through Charlotte, and now he's in the protocol. He's not even available. Glenn Robinson, who's out the league. And you think somehow, some way that McNair is going to be prone to sign Marvin Bagley based on what precedent? He didn't draft Marvin Bagley. He doesn't even know Marvin Bagley until he got to the NBA, until he got to the Kings now, because Marvin Bagley's been in the league for 3 years, but he's only played in about a year and a half worth of games in the NBA because of his injury. You're looking at Monty McNair to do things as if you presume he's going to match an offer for Marvin Bagley when Bogdanovic was our best bench player and actually earned a starting spot last year, and he got let go for nothing. And I know he had the DiVincenzo trade. It fell through. But does that mean you give up? No, because you're the Sacramento Kings. You don't have the caveat to say, hey, I'll find something else.
But I wouldn't give Bagley $20 million, though. No way in hell.
No, but I'm saying I'm not let him walk. That, but what I'm saying is, don't think as if Monty McNair is going to be like, oh, I'm not going to let him walk. He let Bogdanovic walk, and let's not forget, Kings fans, Bogdanovic and Harry Giles are first-round picks. Like, people think these guys are found off the street, like they're off, just a scrap heap. No, they were our first-round picks in 2016 and 2017, respectively. They were let go. Like bye. Like, I don't understand. Like, those teams that have them now don't need him as much as we do off our bench with our putrid play from Joseph. Jeffries gets some minutes. Bielitsa's good, but we don't even use a backup 2, and we don't even use a backup 4, really, or backup 5, rather, now that Bielitsa's playing the 4. But don't think one day ever that Marvin Bagley is going to be somebody that Monty Minier is like, yeah, for sure need to sign him. We don't know what his plan is. He ain't made no moves yet, and we all see either he's being extra patient, overly patient, wrongfully impatient, or most importantly, that you guys need to really be cognizant of, he's trying to lose because they want to press the notion play for the pick, which creates a losing culture. And I've got ripped for this numerous times the last week or so. Oh, that winning culture mantra, nonsense commentary. At the end of the day, if you want to practice losing to play for a pick, you're going to stay.
Tell that to Damian Lillard. Tell that to Damian Lillard.
Yeah. Tell Damian Lillard, hey, man, I know we've been in the AT for 4 or 5 years, but I'm going to trade CJ. I'm going to trade
for picks.
I'm going to trade CJ McCollum. I'm going to go trade the guy they got from Houston right now that had the double draw. What's his name?
We're trading Nurk and CJ for a bunch of picks, and we're just going to rebuild because we can't get over the hump. He's going to be like, bye.
Robert Covington, Nurkic, and McCollum. We're going to trade them for 3 future first-round picks, 3 expirings, and 5 second-round picks. But you are the future. You think Damian Lillard is going to say, yeah, man, I'm shaking to that. He's going to say, hey, man, while you're at it, make sure you transfer my contract to the next franchise. I'm out of here. If you think that the Kings are going to keep Damian Lillard's counterpart and De'Aaron Fox that aspires to be a point guard like him happy by doing a move of that ilk, you're sadly mistaken, brother and sisters out there that are watching. Kings fans, there's no gender bias. I hope all Kings fans that, like me and Leo, love the Kings, realize if you sit there and root for the Kings to tank, you're part of the problem. You are part of the problem because that's a losing mentality. You think that's over the top and, outlandish and just way too dramatic. Hey, man, the Kings have been rebuilding and hoping and planning for the future since 2006, and it's a constant cycle. If you want to stop the cycle, you got to do things rather that are uncomfortable. You have to go maybe mortgage a future pick that you think is going to be so great. There's 5 top 10 picks on this roster right now, and you guys, no disrespect, can you guys name all 5 of them? I mean, I can, but can you? Can you name all 5 top 10 first-round picks on this roster right now? Because I know I can. But think about that. Even with 5 top 10 first-round picks on this roster, the Kings are 14 and 22. But you're willing to wait, and mortgage, and more or less put your future hopes on the line for a future top 10 pick rather than a proven star in the league? Tell me the rational sense of thinking in any way, shape, or form that is to having a winning culture and formula.
I can't say that any better. I think you said that really, really well. A lot of people think that's the way to go. I think when you look at the last 20 years, Spurs and the Warriors are 2 teams that have won a championship, and a lot of luck went into the Warriors winning those championships because of Steph's early injuries and how that transpired. And then the Spurs obviously had Tim Duncan, best power forward of all time. So anytime you have that type of talent, the winning comes along with it. But if you look at all the other teams who have won, they were ultra aggressive. Even that Cavs team traded away Andrew Wiggins. At the time, everybody thought he's going to be the next LeBron James. For who? For Kevin Love. Because winning organizations don't care about draft picks, about young players. They want guys who are proven commodities, who can win, who can help you win now and establish that culture. They ended up winning the NBA championship. So I guarantee you that fan base is pretty happy that they can say that they won the championship. That's something that this fan base can't say because that championship in, Kansas City, that shit doesn't count, man. And we need to have a parade in Sacramento, man. One last thing before we end this.
I got one comment too, Leo.
Go ahead.
My very first post in the Cowboy Kingdom I ever posted was about the James Harden deal that literally happened an hour after I finished my video that I produced. If James Harden, which a few people in the comment section said, oh, Javier, you're the one telling me that James Harden never won a championship. If the Kings were to have James Harden right now and the Kings were 6th in the West, would any of y'all give one care in the world that the Kings weren't going to win the championship, or would you be elated that they'd be a playoff contender again? Stop trying to sprint before you walk. If the Kings can get a player, not saying of James Harden caliber, but if you can get a player that's somewhat close, like a Bradley Beal or whoever may be, a star that's on the block, Zach LaVine, don't tell me that it's not worth a first-round pick when you could be a playoff contender again and develop De'Aaron with him at 23 years old and finally be respected in this league again. If you feel differently, please tell me why. That notion of the picks, playing for a pick, playing for future assets, show me one organization that's worked with. Tell me which one, and don't say Philadelphia, because they ain't won nothing with that formula. Tell me which formula it works in regards to what team did that, what organization, and what championships they won. And I'm going to wait. Thank you.
Yeah, just the odds of that happening. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the Sixers, they have yet to win a championship. Yes, they have a lot of picks even right now, but again, who cares? Like, will that even transpire into championships? Because at the end of the day, that's all I hear from the tanking community and the Kings. Like, oh, we have to win the championship. Will Bill help you win the championship? You're like, wait, what? Like, first you got to get to the playoffs. Again, I think the Blazers are the best example. You don't give up on Knicks. You try to retool, and you're a winning team by making the playoffs and giving yourself a shot. Who knows? Injuries happen all the time. They were just in the Western Conference Finals. Yes, you can say, well, it was because X team was injured. Who cares? We don't feel bad for you. I guarantee you the Raptors Nation don't feel bad for the Warriors or for the Sixers or for anybody who was banged up in the finals, right? Like, they're like, nah, we won the 2019 NBA championship. And that's how it is, man. Nobody cares. Nobody feels bad if there's injuries. My point is, give yourself a chance to compete. Give yourself a chance to win games, y'all. We love you guys. We thank you guys for all the support, man. I think we covered a lot of bases on this podcast. We're at 46 minutes already. Make sure you guys hit the like or dislike. Anything helps. It's going to help out with the algorithm so more people can watch this on YouTube and so we can start populating on the platform. Make sure to leave a review on iTunes if you haven't already. Shout out to Valley Tire Center as always. And Medici, Javi just had Medici with this girl. They loved it. I don't have to say it. He can say it for me. The whole world can say it for me. Everybody loves Medici's, man. Right, Javi?
Hey, 12 out of 10.
Facts.
Even better on Sundays. If you guys want some good Italian cuisine, take whoever you like. Try the pizza. Try the pesto. Most importantly, ask for that drink menu. You will not be disappointed. And if you have any gripes, come holler at me. I promise you, you'll have a great time and a better meal.
Exactly. So, again, the Kings lose tonight. Tough loss. They should have won the game. I feel like we should win every game, but that's just the competitor inside of us. We love you guys. And even if they choose the tanking route and that somehow magically works, we'll be celebrating together. Because at the end of the day, every Kings fan has one ultimate goal, and that's to win an NBA championship. Whatever side you choose, whatever direction you believe in is a whole separate story on how we can get to that championship. But it's not something that we want you to take personal, like, oh, Javier and Leo hate me or we don't agree. Like, no, like, we just don't see eye to eye on how to get to the ultimate goal, which is to win the championship. We just have different principles and idealistics on how to get there, and that's okay. So again, on behalf of the entire CK family, we thank you guys. Have a great weekend. Make sure you watch WandaVision tonight in about an hour. It's gonna be a hell of a finale, y'all. Make sure y'all hit me up on the DMs and let me know if you guys enjoyed the episode. See ya. Peace.